Digital 410 Productions proudly presents the What's in Your Head podcast.
Digitized live from the ACT Computer Studios in Cape Coral, Florida, it's the What's in Your Head podcast with your hosts Gordon and Don Abernathy.
What's up, OG5? It's another Tuesday, and we are back live on all the platforms. Plus, for those of you who download us on the apps, you'll hear this tomorrow. But thank you guys for your continued support. Gordon, you're going to have to man the chat channels tonight because I was live streaming from my kayak and I got like 8% battery life left. Oh, nay, 12% battery life on my phone.
So, all right, I've got Fuckbook up on my computer.
So
and
I will try to participate and all
phone.
that. But how are you doing, fella?
I don't know.
Thinking about going down to the shore?
Yeah, thinking about going down to the shore.
Wow, this is how am I going to get down to the shore?
I don't know.
I'm going to drive my bitching Camaro.
Yep.
You know, I had all my files in my playlist, but then I had to pull up a file the other day, and now I can't get back to my files. I could have just easily pulled up bitching Camaro because I have it on my computer somewhere. But that's another day for another time, I guess.
Hey, look at that. It came up top. Look at it. Hold on.
Hold on.
Stand by.
Oh.
Technical error.
I hear music coming in.
No, you hear you coming in.
Yep, you got your volume up.
Yeah.
Oh, dearie.
There we go.
So why are you down in the dumps, fella?
Oh, I'm not down in the dumps. Although actually, you know what? I am a little down in the dumps. I'm tired of people's egos right now.
Oh, yeah? Who's got egos?
Everybody's got egos. Everybody feels they could tell me.
Everybody's got
seems to impart
egos.
wisdom on me, and I'm about to just. I've been taking a different approach to my life because I could be very confrontational at times. So I've been doing a passive-aggressive approach, which is horrible, but it's sort of a filter.
Okay.
And somebody called me out on my passive-aggressiveness and said he
Now,
don't want me to go the full other way because it's going to end with a fuck you.
Were they being passive-aggressive when they mentioned your passive-aggressiveness?
I think they were trying to impart wisdom.
Oh.
Sometimes you got to do what you do to. I'm more of a toggle, less of a dimmer. So I know what works and what's worked for me. And unfortunately, in emails and stuff like that, I've got to take that approach so it doesn't look like I'm directly attacking a person and, calling them on their shit. Just trying to be friendly. At the end of the day, that's the goal. Hey, man, what's up? And then, needless to say, I don't know. It spiraled my mood into like, just not wanting to deal with people. And it's been going on more lately than anything. And I'm wondering if it's just a byproduct of the last 2 years and then everything else that's going on. So I'm trying to remove myself from the news cycle and everything else just to kind of gain some sanity. But and even some social media,
No, I completely get it. And the on the current episode of the Failed to Fail podcast, I interview Jeff Peltier. Now, the last name Peltier will have a different meaning to you, but Jeff Peltier is a Canadian who does ultra marathons. He goes out and runs 200 miles for fun. And I was explaining to him, I came across his videos when I got tired of all the world events and I needed something I could just watch and not have to think about. And so I found his YouTube channel where he's out running in Canada. He actually did a really cool 9-part series. And I told him, I said, this thing looked like it was produced for the Travel Channel or the History Channel. He said, well, he's actually a video producer by trade. And but he does this great 9-part miniseries. It's called Racing the Planet. Now I'm going to mess up the name because my accent, I always fuck it up. It's the race for Namibia in Africa.
Namibia,
yeah. It's a pretty damn cool video. And you guys can check that interview out on failedtofail.com and all of that good stuff. Before we get too deep into it, so I decided I got a late start. I said, hey, I can go out fishing. I can get 3 hours in before the podcast. So I hurry up, make hamburgers for dinner, and I eat, and I load up, and I go to Lake Mead, which is the boat ramp where we saw the Santeria sacrifice.
Yep.
It's the closest one. I haven't been out there in a while. Last time I was out there, I didn't catch anything. The day of the Santeria sacrifice, I did catch a 2.5 pounder. So that being that, I get out there, and I see a van at the bottom of the boat ramp. I'm like, huh, okay. And
Are we talking like a regular van or a kidnapper van?
a kidnapper van, a fleet van, and I don't see anybody in the driver's seat. And so I get out of my truck and start to walk down, and I see a boat trailer in the water, but I see no boat. I'm like, well, that's peculiar. And it looks like a small...
So let me make sure I'm visualizing this correctly because evidently I'm struggling lately. The boat trailer is in the water, sans the boat, and sans being attached to said vehicle. It's just there.
Yes, as if
Okay.
it's somebody's own personal private parking slip.
This is now their dock, so to speak.
Correct. And there's a gentleman fishing across the canal. And I said, hello, dear sir. And he said, what's happening down yonder? Window breaks and all that good stuff. I said, no, it's a small trailer. Like, you can see a guy in a john boat or something? He's like, oh, I saw that guy park there about 10 minutes ago and peter off in his boat. I said, 10 minutes?
So did he wheel it down by hand?
No, he has his van parked at the end of the boat ramp, trailer in the water. Most people back down, get their boat off the trailer, bring said boat up, moor it to a tree or the like, get back in said van, pull the van up and park it so that the rest of the public can use the public boat ramp.
Gotcha. For some reason, I visualized that he disconnected the van from the trailer and had moved the van on because...
No, the trailer's still attached to the van, the trailer's still in the water, the van's in the boat ramp, no one to be
I'm
found.
clearly losing my mind. Okay.
And I said, so he's just parking his van in the public boat ramp, and the guy across the canal fishing said, yeah, I thought that was a pretty...
Yep.
He's like, yeah, I thought that was a pretty shitty thing to do, too. Now,
Meanwhile...
there is a great TikTok channel called the Miami Boat Ramp where you can see all the shenanigans that happens with people who aren't familiar with their boats and whatnot. Now, if you were in a service and or sales industry,
Okay.
what service and or sales industry that would have a van and possibly a boat trailer would you think would know better than to use a public boat ramp as their own private boat slip and leave their van parked in said boat dock?
Probably maybe a tourist attraction one that may haul people around in kayaks to drop them off at locations.
What about a place called CCM Calusa Certified Marine LLC?
Oh, now they just think they own the joint, right?
So you, let's see here, Mobile Yacht Services. So you're a Volvo Pinta reseller, a Seakeeper reseller, a Yamaha dealer, a Mercury Diesel, and I'm reading this off the video that I have that I'm going to happily shame these people on YouTube.
So what's the chances that this guy was just helping somebody test drive a boat?
That's a very good question, Gordon, and I'm happy you'll ask. See, as someone who spends as much time as the water as I do, I see quite a lot of shenanigans
This is why
at
he's
boat
broke,
ramps.
folks.
No, because kayaks require no gas money. I have seen many a shenanigans. At the same boat ramp, I've seen a Nissan Maxima sink to the bottom after trying to haul in a wave runner. At the same boat ramp as I'm paddling back, I've seen a guy put in his bass boat with his 5-year-old and his 8-year-old on it. And the 8-year-old froze and the bass boat slowly floated away as the dad's standing on the shore. To which I paddle over there, grab the line, and I'm paddling with one hand with the rope over my shoulder. Unfortunately, I don't have this on YouTube. And I slowly but surely paddle a bass boat back across the canal to safely deliver said young ones to their father. I have been to a boat ramp where someone had just sold his boat, and he was doing, as you were saying, showing someone how to use their boat, which at point he took the boat off the trailer, parked it, gave the line to the new owner, got in the truck, pulled the trailer up, came back down, and they departed off into the sunset. Now, as someone who maybe works for CCM, Calusa Certified Marine LLC, I thought, well, maybe he's just repaired a boat, taken it for a quick run. You can't really run that boat. Well, you can get that water hose thing that goes around, but anyhow, if you really want to shake this thing out, you got to give it a test run. But once again, why would you leave the van? But anyhow, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. So I stand there for 10, 15 minutes. Meanwhile, watching it get darker because I only have 2 hours before it gets dark and I got a podcast.
Did you wrap on the van just to make sure there's nobody inside?
No. And
No. I'm not talking about the driver. I'm talking about maybe somebody,
No.
because there's a kidnapper. So
I'm standing there.
Want to do a little.
And the guy across yonder way says, why don't you call the number? Okay. I'm not above this. So I make my way back up said boat ramp to my truck and procure my phone,
Don's going into Karen mode.
shoot this video, and I come down and he says, "Here he comes." Okay, problem solved.
Well, this guy's in for the whole ride, huh? This guy across the canal.
Yeah, because as he said, he thought it was rather shitty too to see somebody park a boat trailer at a boat ramp and then drive off into the sunset, thus blocking boat ramp from use from anybody else in the public, because after all, it is a public boat ramp. Guy comes back, he's got a cool little skiff. I thought, okay, he's going to put it up on the trailer and pull out. He doesn't. He parks next to his trailer, he moors it to a tree, he gets up and moves his van. Okay, cool. He must have heard us or saw me, whatever. I back down my truck, unload my kayak, and I paddle out, and I'm out in the lake fishing, and here he comes on his boat. Drives off again. The dude was out there for like an hour. So it's not like he was just doing a quick shakedown. If I wouldn't have came, and if he wouldn't have came by the boat ramp and saw me sitting there, he would have had his car parked at the bottom of the boat ramp.
Well, what would have
stead in
been
water.
worse is if he backed it right back up into the fucking drink.
Yeah,
as
that
you
would have
were.
been worse. But I think he realized, whoops. It's like, okay, he's probably thinking I'm in the middle of nowhere. It's a sandy, muddy boat ramp. Who's going to use a boat ramp in the middle of a Tuesday night? I would say, well, you're here, aren't you, fella? So chances are good somebody.
By the way, here's my
myself.
TikTok page.
And so he was out there for an hour or so, and other people use that same boat ramp. So even if I wouldn't have come along, he would have had to move his shit when someone else was trying to put in their boats. But I don't know. I expect it from a normal cat, but somebody who clearly works around boats and boat ramps all the time, you just expect a little bit more from them. But I guess I expect too much. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Is it me? Am I
Yeah.
the problem?
Yeah, you're clearly the problem in thinking a guy shouldn't have the audacity to park his van and his trailer there to dump his boat and leave it, thus
Yeah.
blocking it.
Thus
Cool.
making said public boat ramp useless for everybody else.
There's somebody in here.
There is a person afoot. So I got a video inadvertently.
Sorry, I usually have my door shut, but this time I didn't.
I have a video that inadvertently has offended the fine people of the UK and Australia, which isn't something I can say quite often.
I have some thoughts on this. but
Okay.
I'll let you go ahead.
Let me play it for the people, and once again, I was just making observational humor. I wasn't talking shit about the fine people of Australia or UK. This video currently has 4,300 views as of Friday. And so, just to give you all at home the gist, because the stitch that I do, you only hear, but it looks like an old report, but apparently it's not. And it was on City News TO's personal or business TikTok page. And it's a jovial news reporter sitting in front of a gas station talking about the inordinate amount of people stealing gas now that gas prices have gone through the roof. And if you live in the United States, you're probably thinking the same thing I am. But here we go.
More than a dozen of them tell me they are seeing an increase in gas and dash thefts.
Where are you doing this live remote from? 1993? I thought everybody had to prepay for gas. Where the hell is this at where you guys don't have prepaid gas? What utopia is this where people can go and steal gas because the gas station doesn't require prepay? Well, the answer apparently is the UK, Australia, and anywhere but the United States or some smaller cities. Now, before I continue, you said you had some thoughts on that video.
No, it's going to require your next subsequent responses.
So, as I always do when people comment, I like on it, and some of them snap back, and I still like. But there's one particular gentleman who really, was begging for some attention. And his
Now,
comment,
did he only reply in text form?
as most trolls usually do, most trolls don't have a profile picture and or any content of their own.
So he could be a bot.
Very well could be.
Don could be.
No, I'm
arguing
sorry.
with
This
a
person
bot.
does have a profile picture. It's
Well.
him. And he has. Okay. This is. Hold on a second. She's in there screaming on her freaking Xbox, even though I already shut her door once. So this is one of those cats who has two videos that's other people's content, and his name's @HuggyBear, 027, and he has the Snoop Dogg Huggy Bear, not the original one from Starsky and Hutch. But he replied, Australia, the land of the, quote, real free. That's it. Now,
I'm confused with watching everything that's been going on in Australia, the land of the not so free.
well, that was kind of my point, but the fact that he put real free was basically taking a dig at the United States, because that's our slogan, America, the land of the free. Australia, the land of the real free. To which
Is it? That's kind of a cute slogan and all, but
he got a few replies,
he
including
baited you.
some other people from Australia. Some of them say, no, not free, mate. We need to have mandate vaccine. I'm sorry, no, free, mate. We need to have mandate vaccines. We're not free. That's some Australian bloke put it on there. Then I replied, happy you said that. Would have come off snarky if I did it about being. I'm sorry. I replied, happy you said it. It would have come off snarky if I did. I was about to make a video. And then somebody else replied, no, can't do anything here without government permission. And so then I replied with a video. I don't have the caption. I just basically went down the, hey, we all saw what happened during Australia during the COVID. And then I made a few comments about why possibly we could be more considered free than they were. And sorry, I'm looking for.
Did you bring up firearms? by
Yes,
chance?
and that pisses people off.
Of course, especially the bots.
Sorry, I pulled some things here I wanted to have ready for the show.
Did they say you were afraid? That's why you carry a firearm.
Well, once you bring firearms into it, people get rip shit pissed. Let's see here.
And these are probably the same people who are backing the Ukrainians getting armed to defend themselves.
Yeah.
Stand by. I've got a weird thing going on with my green screen. I got to throw on a light.
So I did bring up the firearms, to which some point said, for me, freedom is walking around not worrying about if a person is standing at my end of the street with a gun.
Yes. There we go.
And so he said to him, and someone else said, you carry a gun because you're scared. And then I did a whole content on the difference between walking around scared versus walking around being prepared.
So my response to that, and I think is the best response that you can give, is what did Sir Edmund Hillary say when he asked why climb Mount Everest?
Because you can, because it's there.
Because I can. Do I really need to explain myself anymore? It is within my rights, and I can.
And then one person said, oh boy, going to the firearm thing, how can you be any more cliche as an American? Which I enjoyed that one, so I didn't do a snarky one.
I am an American.
I did a nice thing. I said, well, I did a nice reply saying, what do you expect? You got a country people who are being subjugated by King George III in Europe. And
By the way, whose national flag still has the old Union Jack on it?
exactly. And so I said, without firearms, blah, blah, blah. And then someone else replied, that was 200 years ago. You need to get over yourself. Anyhow, so that's not the whole point of it. So
It's because they're still butt sore.
Here's the point of this, and the reason I bring all this up. I just did a quick Google search. I just had to do it again because I didn't have my links in my list of shit. I simply Googled everyday activities that are illegal in Australia that aren't illegal in the United States. Now, clearly, every country has laws that were made at some point that are no longer mandated. Like in some states in the United States, it's only legal to have sex in the missionary position, and anything else is technically illegal. Those are just laws from the 1900s that just have never been wiped off the books. I get that. So, but for fun, here's 19 weird Australian laws. 1, it is illegal to wear hot pink hot pants after midday on a Sunday. Don't want to know what happened to enforce that law, but clearly at some point.
Are you sure these are real laws?
This is actually from, yes, because some of these laws actually follow over to an Australian website. So some of these
Although,
repeat
you know
themselves.
what? I can almost buy into that one. Nah.
It's an offense to possess 50 grams of potatoes in Western Australia. I'm sure maybe that goes back to some potato
smuggler
famine.
now.
I'm sure that goes back to the early days when people were having their own version of potato famine, and they didn't want people hoarding potatoes in Western Australia.
So if you had 50 grams of potatoes or more, you must share.
Sadly, this particular page doesn't provide any more detail.
Thinking you're getting trolled by a page, but let's keep on going.
Taxi cabs in Queensland are required to carry a bale of hay in the trunk. Maybe, I don't know. Bars are required to stable, water, and feed the horses of their patrons. Once again, these are probably ancient laws that no longer in effect. You must have a neck and knee swimsuit in order to swim at Brighton Beach in Melbourne, Australia. Clearly,
Oh yeah,
that's from
this
the
is coming from
1800s.
like the 1910s
Oh, yeah.
and 1920s. Okay.
But these are still laws on the books that were never reversed.
Although the neon pink, which sounds like it's at least the 80s.
Yeah. The Summary Offense Act of 1966 deems it illegal to be heard by someone singing offensive songs. Okay. Well, we had that same issue in the 80s when it came to Two Life Crew and NWA. So
Yeah, but it wasn't illegal.
Yeah. It is illegal to roam the streets wearing black clothes, felt shoes, and black shoe polish on your face, as these items are tools of cat burglars. Clearly, that's from like the 30s or the 20s. But okay.
Felt shoes. Where does one get felt shoes these days?
I don't know. Once again, I'm sure that's an old law. This is fun. I
It is
really,
what's become climbing shoes.
I really wish I knew what started this one. It's illegal to dress up as Batman and Robin. Only licensed electricians can change a light bulb. I'm sure that's from back in the days when Edison first started rolling out electricity. It is illegal to read someone's tarot or give them psychic readings, as these are forms of witchcraft.
Oh shit! All these gypsies out of work. Oops! Did I just offend a bunch of gypsies?
Yep. Having an
They should have seen it coming.
having an article of disguise without lawful excuse is illegal. Okay.
Say that one more time.
Having an article of disguise.
So, what does one consider an article of disguise? Is it one of them little half masks that you wear at a stupid ball, or is it
Groucho
oh my
Marx
God.
glasses
If you were
complete
an
with
ICP
mustache.
fan,
Yep.
if you were an ICP fan, one, you'd get hit for the offensive lyrics.
Oh,
Two,
yeah.
you'd get probably hit for the black and felt shoes.
And if you're a juggalette, you might get hit with the hot pink hot pants on after midday on a Sunday. Let's revisit that one real quick. It's illegal to wear hot pink hot pants after midday on a Sunday. Now, I'm not a church-going man, but one might suggest it'd be the other way around. That you couldn't wear them before midday because you should be...
or at least to church.
But apparently you can wear them to church, but after church service is over, you got to go home and change those. Let's see here. Have an article. In the Gold Coast, it's illegal for a woman to wear bikinis whose material exceeds 6 square inches.
Exceeds or doesn't exceed?
It says exceed, which doesn't make any sense. You figure it would be minimized. It's illegal to leave your car keys inside an unattended vehicle. That would make sense. Don't know if we need to make it a law. If advertising a lost or stolen item, you must include a caption, quote, "No questions will be asked," so does that mean the thieves can get away with stolen goods? That's the editorialization.
So what happens if they come up and then you ask a question?
Then apparently you get hit with a misdemeanor. Number 16, life sentences cannot exceed 25 years.
Well,
I
that
think,
makes no fucking sense. What, the guy's like 20?
well, that's why you hear people get multiple life sentences, because here in the United States, I think technically a life sentence is 20 years.
To me, life is life. But okay.
No, that's why you hear someone got 4 life sentences,
That's true.
because it'll be at 6 years. in
He
prison.
got 165 years in prison.
Here's a fun one. If a urinal is not readily available, is it legal to urinate? I'm sorry, it is legal to urinate on the rear left thigh of your vehicle. Tire. They misspelled. They
Well,
spelled
you
tire.
know what?
They spelled
They
tire
actually got it.
Tyre.
Yes, that's how they spell tire. But you know what? Actually, that's probably better than here, where if you urinate anywhere out in public, you're now a sex offender.
So if your urinal is not available, it is legal to urinate on their rear left tire, which would be their
Which would
passenger
make
side,
sense. That was a passenger side.
which
yeah.
also on the opposite side of the street, which mean it would be on the sidewalk side. In Melbourne, it is against the law to vacuum between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. during weekdays and 10 p.m. and 9 a.m. during weekends, because people are sleeping.
How loud is your vacuum cleaner?
Well, once
Well,
again, these are probably passed when everybody
Conversely,
had
how
Hoovers.
close is your quarters to each other?
Well, if this was passed, I mean, think about it. Like you go to some of our old neighborhoods, or like where
Is it
houses
like
were
a
built
leaf
in the
blower when
30s
you
and
fire up the
20s.
vacuum cleaner?
Children aren't allowed to purchase cigarettes. I'm sorry. Yes, children aren't allowed to purchase cigarettes, but there is no law specifically stating that they cannot smoke them. So that was from
How many cigarettes
Stayabase,
did we purchase as children?
as long as we had a note accompanying it. So this one's actually from escape.com.au. So this is an Australian-based
A lot
website.
of drives to the, no pun intended, Beaver Lick Trading Post to pick up some cigarettes.
To me, it wasn't. That was you. To me, I remember when Mom lived in Clearwater, and she would send us down to the corner gas station.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Number one on the escape.com.au, which is an Australian troll site or fake news site, but whatever. These are still funny. We'll go with them. Once again, these are probably old-fashioned laws that have never been unwritten.
Have you looked up the American weird ones?
No, I figure I'd leave that up for the Australians to do. But if you want to look some up while we're doing this, that's fine. It is an offense to fly a kite, to be an annoyance to any person, or sing an obscene song or ballad in public place in Victoria. So not only is we're talking about the obscene song, but apparently it's also an ordinance. It is an offense to fly a kite to the annoyance of any person. So if you're on a beach and you're flying a kite near somebody, you can catch yourself a nice fine. Let's see here. Number 2. In SA, not sure which part of Australia that is, maybe southern.
SA.
There is a $250 maximum fine for unlawfully ringing doorbells, which we refer to as ding dong ditch and other colorful phrases you can't say nowadays.
Oh, you said the wrong one.
And it said fact by Slater Gordon. Oh, that's the Getty image. They had to put the Getty image credit on there. Here we go. More potatoes. So clearly they had a potato famine at some point in Australia. You can be jailed up to a year for cleaning up seabird or bat poop without a license in Western Australia. And you can also be fined thousands of dollars for possessing more than 50 kilograms of potatoes under certain circumstances. So apparently not only can you not have over 50 kilograms of potatoes, but it's illegal to... Why would not? I kind of understand the guano because I guess there's some value in guano. But why not seabird poop? Why would it be illegal to scrub seagull shit without a permit?
It's a good question.
I think I just stumbled across the answer. Because I'm sure that to get said permit means that you are in possession of the proper cleaning soaps and detergents so that you're not spreading said feces around and making the mess bigger and making it airborne, perhaps, because we do know that you can get sick from guano. So maybe in order to clean up said poop, you need to have the proper cleaning utensils provided through ordinance through the city. This is a fun one. It's illegal to post a fake job advertisement in Queensland, Australia. You find some good laws?
Oh, yeah. Kentucky's got some good ones.
Okay, so let's stagger them a little bit. So we've done some Australian. Let's do a Kentucky law right quick.
All right. Law number 3, and this is coming from a law site called Leonard Law, Small Business Legal Solutions. Dogs mustn't be allowed to molest cars. If you own a dog in the city of Fort Thomas, which is in northern Kentucky, by the way, you should be aware that you can be fined between $50 and $100 if you allow your pup to molest a pedestrian or passing vehicles within the city corporate limits.
Now, do they get into the definition of molest?
No.
Because
To
molest...
me, it could be touch.
Yeah, so I'm figuring they probably figure that would cover urination on tires and other forms of disobedience. That would be you. Bailey's staring at the pretzel bin. She wants a pretzel so fucking bad. She's been underneath the chair with a pretzel bin in it. Okay, so while you look up another one, here's another one, number 5. It is offense in both SA and Victoria to take homing pigeons unless you are lawfully authorized to do so. In Western Australia, you can be in trouble for stealing a pigeon, but only if it is tame or either a pigeoned house or on the owner's land. I'm sorry, but only if it's a tame pigeon. So basically, if it's a wild pigeon on your car, you can take it, but if it's on someone's property or it's tame, it's illegal to take it because, once again, it's probably someone's homing pigeon. And believe it or not, they still do have homing pigeon races.
Florida.
Yeah, buddy.
Oakland, Florida. Stay-at-home dads are considered vagrants. in the town of Oakland, Florida, men who are able to work but habitually living on the livings of their wives or minor children are considered vagrants. Others included in this terminology include people who neglect all lawful business and are habitually spending all of their time frequenting brothels, casinos, or arcades and liquor shops. Interesting.
Okay. According to the Rainmaking Control Act of 1967, are you familiar with the hypothesis of rainmaking?
Talking about the cloud seeding and
Yeah.
the trails.
Stuff that people haven't thought about since clearly 1967 when Australia decided to make the Rainmaking Control Act of 1967. I should point out that is via Section 9. This comes out of. In Victoria, it's an offense to undertake any rainmaking activity unless you're authorized to do so. Rainmaking refers to the artificial nucleating or seeding of clouds using a manned aircraft in Section 2. And then they go on to make a lame comment about rain dances not being covered. Go ahead with your next one.
This is from Nevada. Mustache smooches are illegal.
Where is that at? England?
Nevada, where I live. Nevada.
No, I can understand a mustache ride possibly being illegal. But
Back in the 1800s,
here we go.
male facial hair was frowned upon by society, sometimes for religious reasons. Well, just a little background. This is originally a Mormon territory. Municipal officials in the town of Eureka took the beard-hating a step further by banning mustaches. You know, that kind of eliminates a lot of the... You're eliminating the sign of a kid toucher. And this law is actually still on the books.
You know, this next law, you would think they came up with this after watching Chevy Chase's National Lampoon's Family Vacation. But clearly, the fine people at the National Lampoon got the idea from this Victoria, Australia Act. The Summary Offense Act of 1966, Section 8C. In Victoria, it is an offense to harness or attach your goat or your dog to a vehicle and drive it through a public area.
Well, that makes sense.
Apparently, you can drive it through.
Called dragging.
You can drive it through a country, a rural road, no problem. It actually says through a public area. So, I guess if it's on a rural road or a private driveway, the world's your oyster. But through downtown Victoria, not so much.
Okay, so Montana's got a few. First one's interesting. This will take you back. One is the game of golf, or frisbee golf, is played following the same rules of golf, but using special, as we know, frisbees or golf discs instead of clubs. Apparently, the sport is quite popular in Montana, and the municipal authorities in Helena stepped in to control where and when the game can be played through an edict of no person shall play or engage in the game of golf or throw golf disc at nighttime in any area within business improvement districts.
I don't know anybody who plays nighttime frisbee golf. I guess they have to.
I got a frisbee golf course right next to me. That's where I usually walk Oliver. And,
Okay, going back to this other law from the other website, you were asking about how loud the vacuum cleaners are, right? Mm-hmm. This actually goes back to Section 48A of the Environmental Protection Act of 1970. In Victoria, making unreasonable noises with a vacuum cleaner after 10 p.m. or 7 a.m., as we said earlier, on weekdays or 9 a.m. on weekends is considered an offense. As we just said, this is in accordance with Section 48A of the Environmental Protection Act of 1970, as well as Regulation 6, Environmental Protection under the Statute of Residential Noises, regulations in 2008. So this carried on to 2008. Now, I don't know what the currency in Australia is. I don't know what the exchange rate is, but I'm going to assume these fines, which sound a mite steep in American currency, probably aren't so much in Australia, but anyhow, here we go. Police or council can order you to stop making noise, and failure to abide can result in a fine of up to $18,655.20. Australian, not American. With an additional fine of up to $4,663.80 per day for continued violations.
Interesting. This next one it could possibly trigger some people. Pay attention.
Okay.
Raising rats is prohibited in Billings, Montana. Still, in the city of Billings, nobody is allowed to harbor, raise, sell, or offer rats as pets, toys, premiums, novelty, or for any other purpose except as feed for reptiles or birds of prey or both. This law does not extend to rats that are kept for scientific research.
Science.
Science!
Now, Australia is an island. Do you think Australian had problems with pirates up to 1958?
I'm pretty sure they did.
Probably. Well, that's pretty far travel from Somalia, wouldn't you think? But anyhow, in Victoria, according to Section 70C of Crimes Acts from 1958, corresponding or doing business with a pirate is illegal and can result in 10 years of imprisonment. At least this website actually lists the subsection, so you know that these were at least real laws at some point. Okay, back to the other law, unless you have one.
Yes, Ohio. In the city of Coshocton, there is a set of rules that govern human interactions within shopping malls, including this one that states no one shall, in the presence or hearing of another person, curse or abuse a person or use any violent abusive language to the person concerning him or her or any of his male or female relatives. Basically, you can't tell mama jokes in a shopping center.
Mm-hmm. This website also talks about the bars, and so I'm just going to do one more. And this one's interesting because it has a wanted picture of a lost bicycle. And I watch a lot of Sam Pilgrim on YouTube, who's a European professional bike rider. At least he was. He's getting up in his 30s, so he's sort of retiring. But this wanted sign has a picture of a bike that has no seat post and or seat. I'm not sure what type of bike that is. It looks like a BMX bike, but there's no horizontal tube. It's two vertical tubes going down. You got your crankshaft, your rear tire, your front tire, handlebars. No seat post and or seat, but that has nothing to do with the law. That's just an interesting photo. It said number 10 is an offense to offer rewards for a stolen property without asking questions in Tasmania or in South Australia. Without asking questions. So you can't say no questions asked. The local jurisdictions do not permit anybody to give such rewards without an option of questioning, since this leaves no room for capturing any criminals in the possession of said stolen property. And you can complete
We'll
that.
do one more here. Where was it? Oh, here we go. And this is the great state of Alabama.
Alabama?
There is a law that's been enacted to prevent horse theft, and apparently horse thieves placed sweet delights in their back pockets to lure their new horses back to home. They call it the no ice cream cone in your back pocket law.
It makes sense. Now, obviously, if I'm doing a TikTok about gasoline and people from people from the UK and Australia and other parts of the world, what do you think is probably the second most question asked by our friends across the pond and down in the land way down under? No idea?
I have no idea.
I'll answer that for you. Which is, why do Americans call gasoline gas when it's a liquid and not a gas?
Because it's a shortened form of gasoline.
Yes, but where does gasoline come from? I followed this up with another TikTok, but I'll read you because I didn't know either. Gasoline is an English word that denotes the fluid for automobiles.
You mean it's not petrol?
The term is throughout to have been influenced by the trademark Cazeline, spelled Cazeline, or gasoline, Gazeline, named after the surname of British publisher, coffee magnate, and social campaigner John Cazalel on November 27th, 1862, as Cazalel placed an advertisement in the Times of London. So as I replied with this paragraph on my TikTok, I simply told and reminded the fine people of the United Kingdom,
It came from your homeland, man.
as with most of the things you hate about America, it is a direct result of something your ancestors did.
Which
Mu-
is our ancestors. Ghostbusters, but we like to take things and mess them all up for everybody.
Well, just like we all call jacuzzis.
We got America it.
We call every hot tub a jacuzzi, even though jacuzzi is a name brand. Well, we saw one advertisement call it from gasoline, and we now call everything gasoline because we're suckers for good branding here in the United States. So
Occasionally bad branding.
ain't that the truth? Do. Let's see.
Wow, that was a long bit.
That's a good bit. Good long bit. Sometimes when you have very little content, you got to drag some bits out. So, Saturday. What happened on Saturday? Do you remember what happened on Saturday night around, I don't know, 2 a.m.?
You went fishing in the wind.
No, that was Friday night.
Oh, shit. 2 a.m. your time would have been 11 p.m. my time, and I was asleep.
But
so-
it would have happened to you at 2 a.m. of your time, too.
Oh, yes, and I bet you may be going into a story I have.
Well, if you do, then we'll save it for the news. So, after watching a video by Black Rifle Coffee about the veterans watching veteran shit, they were talking about Apocalypse Now.
It's always entertaining, by the way.
And I haven't seen it in years, and I don't even think I've ever saw it in its entirety.
The smell of napalm in the morning.
And so around Saturday night, it's I don't know, midnight, I was on the old Netflix, and they had the remastered Apocalypse Now Redux, running time 3 hours and 20 minutes.
That's why when I called you on Sunday, you were asleep.
I was like, it's midnight. I could watch a TV show until 3, and push comes to shove, I'll finish it tomorrow. So I settle in to watch the remastered, digitized version of Apocalypse Now Redux. And I'd say I don't remember hardly any of it.
Because you're sleepy.
No, I mean, watching it, I thought I had seen it in the past, but apparently I'd never seen the entire thing. I've only seen segments of it because a lot of it I never remembered. I doubt they added that much more to the remake of it. And so I'm watching it and I'm enjoying it. And, okay, it's now 1:30. Okay, we've got a little bit of time left. We'll make it through. Watching it. Pause it. Go use the bathroom. Come back. Carrie sits down. Wow, you're watching Apocalypse Now? This is an old movie. Yeah. Yep. It's amazing how much Charlie Sheen looks like his dad. Yeah. Watching it. Oh, boy, it's getting late, but got about an hour left. All of a sudden, it goes from 1:59 to 3 a.m. And I said to myself, oh, yeah, time change was this weekend. Do I really want to be up until 4:30 in the morning watching Apocalypse Now? I think I'll go to bed, and I'll finish it in the morning because, time it wraps up and I get ready and go to bed, it'll be 5 a.m., and that'll ruin my Sunday. But Gordon has the news story. I was going to go into that, so I'll say that for the news.
The redo, the Orido added 20 minutes. It went from 3 hours and 2 minutes to 3 hours and 22 minutes.
Yeah, it was a good flick.
It is a good flick.
I really enjoyed.
Caught a lot of the pop culture references you heard floating around there,
Yeah. Oh God, I just completely went blank. The person you don't really hear too much who's in that movie is the cat. From Speed. Hey man, come on man. Oh, what the fuck's his name?
The guy you think's a hippie, but he's actually a Republican.
Yeah, man. Well, it turns out his whole career is based
Scooby,
on.
I'm looking for Scooby.
Apparently, his whole career is based off that role he played in freaking Apocalypse Now, because that was basically his whole act, through the '90s. Remember when he was doing his version of the Dennis Miller commercials or Dennis Leary commercials? Oh, what the fuck's his
You're
name?
thinking of one, Gary. Oh, sorry.
Nope.
Not Gary Busey. Sorry. What am I thinking of?
See, you went blank too.
Yeah, I went blank too. I know who you're talking about.
Oh, what the hell's his name? Cast of Speed. Dennis Hopper.
That's it.
So Dennis Hopper played the photographer in that, but it was good. Speaking of movies, then we'll get into the news because Gordon was talking about how long our bit was. Real quick. This happened last week, and I want to get through this real quick. So I had a customer call me. He was having a health scare, and he was trying to recover some test results to take to his doctor the next morning. And he was complaining that he can't open the file. So I log in and go to Florida Cancer's website. That tells you anything. And we go to the email. They generate him a username and password. We follow the screenshots in the email of how to acquire said files. And we go through it. and it downloads the file, and then it opens up the database thing. Really no instructions, so that's weird. So we type in his name. You don't have permission to access this database. Well, why is it doing this? It should be downloading photos. Long fucking story short, he was getting very frustrated. Couldn't figure out why I couldn't figure it out. And I said, well, something clearly wrong with their website. Now, if you're a patient of a cancer-based website, that would probably imply, and if you're downloading test results to take to a follow-up doctor the following day, that would probably imply that things aren't going pretty well in your life, right?
Correct.
So you would think that you would try to make things run as smoothly as possible for your patients because, well, things aren't going very well. So after an hour and a half of trying new things and emailing support because there's no tech support line, I call up. I do a little finagling. I find the phone number for their regional place. I call, and the lady's like, oh, you need to call the local location you went to. So we called that local location, and one woman answered, and bless her heart, she tried her hardest. She said, oh, I had somebody deal with had the same problem last week. I can't remember what it was. She put me on hold, and so-and-so's telling me just to tell you to email tech support and wait till them get back. I said, he needs these results for his doctor tomorrow. And so she went out of her way. She said, well, hold on, I found a phone number. She somehow transferred me to somebody who actually works on the website locally. Shit never happens, but lo and behold, it did. At this point, the customer's off the phone. I'm handling it all myself because he's getting pissed. And I explained to the guy what's going on. And as it tends to happen when you talk to these tech support guys, they talk to so many normal people, they just assume everybody's a fucking idiot. And I explained to him that I'm an IT guy, I've been doing this for years, yada, yada, yada. I've walked through, done everything. He didn't believe me.
So you had to vet yourself to him.
Which I have to do all the time. But he was nice enough, and he started a Zoom meeting, and I did the screen share. And then condescension in his voice, okay, go to the website. Uh-huh.
Were you
Click.
just as condescending back?
Click there. Okay, I did this 43 times before calling you, but okay. Doodle-doo. Okay, now click on, no, wait for it, yep, click right there. Yeah, I clicked on that. Pops up. Okay, now I'll put your name up in the top. Done this. It's going to say, typed it in. Don't have permission to access this database. That's odd.
Thus my phone call, fool.
Exactly word for word, I told you what happened. Long story short, 2 hours and 33 minutes of me working on this, which, by the way, I was working on this via laptop, via a friend of mine's house I'd stopped at who just had knee surgery, and I was trying to find out what was going on with his knee, but I had spent 2 hours sitting in his office, in his
Hey, while
house,
you're here.
on my laptop, working with someone else. Somebody falls under the category of you had one job. Came down to the user account they created for their patient, my customer, didn't have the appropriate permissions to access said database, just like the error said. Now, the customer had already worked on this for an hour before calling me. I spent 2 hours on it before we found someone nice enough to figure out the solution. But the real kick in the dick part, he gave me the world's most generic just put in, I don't even want to even pull a generic username out of the sky because it was so generic, but he gave me the world's most straight out of meat frickin' space
So is
balls.
it basically like admin and then the password was password?
No, even more generic than that. But he just, type this in because he's doing it through Zoom, can't control. It's just like out of Spaceballs with the combination to the airlock. Gave me the world's most generic username and password that had full read-write permissions, and we were able to download his fucking files. But it's like, you're working for a cancer website, and maybe it's a bad script when it got generated, but the whole thing came down to, and if we wouldn't have found the woman at the local doctor's office who took 20 minutes out of her day to track down this fella, he would have never gotten the files, and his doctor, who would have gotten the same username and password, wouldn't have been able to access the x-rays the following morning at 9 a.m. because they would have had the same generic username and passwords associated to that user. And it was so fucking frustrating. It's like, wow.
Can I brighten up your moment?
Sure.
Coming in from YouTube from one Mr. Mark Elton. Senior pay and the pump skit. I currently work in a town in Minnesota, Wisconsin border, where you can pump petrol and pay in the local towns. Trust is still alive, and here it comes the great part for you. Keep up the great content.
Yeah, you know, and it was like that in Kentucky and Ohio, and it slowly. And I think I actually listed in another reply video that, oh, I know what it was. Somebody else replied. Fucking TikTok. So somebody replied, right? We don't have prepay in the UK because we have video cameras and $1,000 fines for stealing gas, plus the price of the gas.
And you're all special how?
To which I replied, fantastic. I wish I too could live in a country where dipshits didn't care that they had, where dipshits were mindful of the fact that there's security cameras. Sadly, I live in a country where dumbasses don't care and they still continue to commit crimes even though there's security cameras there because dipshits do dumb things. Now,
well, that and they're so used to just cameras being around everywhere, it's just kind of in the background.
Now, I just painted abroad about a nondescript person, generalized titles about people who steal shit. Not about the person. I actually
Did you refer to them as dipshits, though?
Not him, not the person. I said, I wish I too lived in a country where people were smart enough not to steal shit when there's security camera around. Sadly, I live in a country where dipshits steal things.
There's your problem.
You can't call unnamed masses dipshits?
Apparently,
you can't, because TikTok tore that shit down for bullying and harassing.
You have now offended all the dipshits of the world, sir.
And then there was another video that I stitched where somebody was showing drone footage of some asshole in a very large boat with 6 outboard motors hightailing it through a manatee zone, and you can see all the manatees below them.
Saw that.
And to which I looked at the camera and
One
said,
of them bounced off the stern of the starboard side of the boat.
where I didn't say, but I mouthed the phrase asshole, and that too was taken down for bullying and harassing. So apparently you're not allowed to call someone who's running over fucking manatee at full speed with a boat with 4 outboard motors an asshole on TikTok.
Love algorithms.
Yeah. But no, and back to the point, one of the videos I actually said, well, it was like that here in the United States, but as time went by, more and more people stole stuff. It happened in large metropolitan areas and slowly started to spread through smaller communities, unless you live in like rural Iowa, where everybody knows each other's name. But yeah, if you live in a large metropolitan area, it happens. Did you hear about the story about the Black Panther director, Ryan Coogler?
Yes, I did.
For those who didn't, Ryan Coogler was mistaken for a bank robber in Atlanta, Georgia. Good work, Bank of America. Now, some could argue that his approach on this was a little off, but I get where he was coming from. Quote, "We deeply regret the incident occurred," Bank of America said in a statement about the episode on January 7th.
Ruh-roh.
"It never should have happened, and we apologize to Mr. Coogler."
Oh, shit.
Now, imagine if he wasn't a Mr. Coogler. Imagine if he was a Mr. Jones. Bank of America has apologized to the director, Ryan Coogler, after he was assumed to be a bank robber and briefly handcuffed by the police while trying to withdraw money from the Bank of America branch in Atlanta. This is where it gets a little weird.
So this is a guy that goes in, he's got all his paperwork in order, got his ID, gets his withdrawal strip, gives it to the teller, and then all of a sudden he's in cuffs?
A little bit, but I can kind of see where a young cat might get a little paranoid. Mr. Coogler handed the teller a withdrawal slip on January 7th, asking for more than $10,000. I think the number was roughly $12,000. And I think the story that I heard was he was paying cash for some sort of medical stuff that he does every week, which is a little weird. I'm sure that medical doctor will be getting an IRS notice, want to know why this guy's paying him $12,000 in cash every week. But he handed a withdrawal slip asking for more than $10,000 with a note on the back of the withdrawal slip asking her to be discreet when handing him the cash, according to the police report. Mr. Coogler also had his California state ID card as well as his Bank of America card when he approached the teller. Both Mr. Coogler and the teller were black. The teller received an alert notification from Mr. Coogler's account and quickly advised her manager that he was trying to rob the bank branch in Buckhead section of Atlanta. The report said the police were called, and when they arrived, they found an SUV parked in front of the bank. So you have the SUV parked on the curb in front of the bank, and you got a guy inside.
He didn't have a driver in it with the engine running, did he?
The driver identifies Mr. Kugler as movie producer, yada, yada, yada. The officers were given a description, matched the description, man who was reported of trying to rob the bank. The officer said they detained the driver and the passenger and placed them in the patrol car. They then removed Mr. Kugler from the bank in handcuffs and determined that he was not a bank robber, according to the police report.
So what is the lesson?
From what I understand, what he had said in a interview or off-the-record interview type thing is apparently he had gone in there in the past with just a standard run-of-the-mill withdrawal slip for 12 grand, because once again, he's paying for some sort of medical stuff in cash, whatever. And in the past, his experiences, they pull out the stack of cash, they run it through the super loud counting machine, thus getting everybody's attention, and then they hand him a fat envelope, and now he's concerned that he might get robbed walking through Atlanta or out to his car after people just heard the money counting machine. And so his whole thing was, he wrote on the back of the thing to be discreet, but
I.e., do it in a back room.
yeah, but we all do know from movies that one of the top way of robbing a place is writing a note and telling them to read it. I did hear someone say that he basically kept telling her, read the note, which may have scared her. But yeah, I can understand it.
I'm sure that's part of their training. It says if somebody tells you repeatedly to read a note, there is a very good chance they are robbing us.
So in hindsight being 2020, in the future, you fill out the withdrawal slip. He probably will remove all his money from Bank of America. But anyhow, for those of you who are ever in a situation where you want to withdraw large amounts of cash and don't want a loud-ass money counting machine flipping away 2 feet in front of you, don't write a note. Simply hand her the withdrawal slip and your ID and say, do me a favor, miss. Could you use the money counting machine that's back in the back? Don't write anything down. Just say,
I don't want to get robbed on my way to the car.
yeah, just say, hey, can you maybe have that counted somewhere out of audible sound from all the people in the lobby so that they don't know that, which is kind of, I understand. In Vegas, do you ever play the lottery? Oh, you can't play the lottery. When you drive out of state to buy your lottery tickets.
Only if it's only once or twice a year, and if it's big enough of a jackpot, I'll drive down to Baker.
Well, we had a thing a few years ago where less than honest convenience store owners would scan people's lottery tickets and tell them they weren't winners and throw them in the trash. And then when the person would leave, they would get them out of the trash and cash them in and keep the $50, $25, $100 for themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
And these guys got arrested through undercover investigation through the Florida Lottery Commission. And so now one of the ways they fix this is now whenever you scan your lottery ticket, if it is a winner, anything from a free ticket to anything, it plays the old school public domain King's Court da-da-da, trumpet sound. So that way, when they scan it, da-da-da, okay, it's usually a free ticket. Now let's say, suppose, da-da-da, and you're a multi-million-dollar winner.
Get the whole orchestra.
Well, I guess maybe since they all have the same da-da-das, people wouldn't know, but I would be a little sketchy if I just scanned a ticket, turned out to be like a jackpot winner, then now everybody, and I don't care how professional of a gas station attendant you are, if someone hands you a ticket and it goes da-da-da, I don't know what it says on the screen. I don't know if it says, see the local lottery board. I don't know if it says, congratulations, you won the jackpot. But if it did say, congratulations, you won the jackpot, and the thing just went da-da-da, you better hope that that teller can keep a straight face and not say, holy shit, you just won. Because your ass is getting robbed on the way through the
Most
parking
likely
lot.
they're not even going to have that kind of money in the store. So.
No, they won't. But once again, if it says on the display, you won the jackpot, that teller's going to be excited for you.
Yes.
But hopefully it just says, contact the local lottery office, and they can be discreet about it.
Sir, there's a problem with your ticket. You're neither going to have to contact a local lottery office.
Yeah, because I think it's anything over like $100 or $400 in the store they won't have. Before we get to the news, we spent so much time talking about my TikTok that we didn't do the TikTok lesson of the week.
And now for the What's in Your Head podcast TikTok lesson of the week.
When did it become so controversial to say I care about my country more than I care about other people's countries? I also care about my family more than I care about random people on the street. I'm a fucking asshole, I guess.
And this has been the What's in Your Head podcast TikTok lesson of the week. Joining us now from the Digital 410 West News Desk in Las Vegas, Nevada, Gordon Abernathy.
Gordon, how you doing tonight?
I'm not going back down that road.
It's a long, bumpy road.
Real quick before I go into the news, did I ever go over what do you prefer on wings, blue cheese or ranch? Don't say ranch. Don't say ranch. Don't say ranch.
What am I eating? Did you say wings?
Yeah. Don't say ranch. Don't say ranch.
I will go with the blue cheese, but I don't like the idea of what blue cheese is made from.
Salt cheese is made from that. It just so happens
It's a
to
different
be
level
out.
of mold, though.
Yes.
Volkswagen
Blue cheese is
update. Volkswagen update. I am now 7 days into my free lease.
Woo!
There has been no notification or expectation of when I will get my car back. So if you have a Volkswagen that is still under manufacturer warranty with maybe a broken item or two, and you want to put miles on someone else's car, simply schedule your warranty service today.
Evidently, there has been a string of burglaries, early morning burglaries, to be
Gurglebers?
specific. Burglars
Gurglebers.
in this town, in Tucker Carlson's new town of Naples.
I knew he lived in South Florida. I didn't know he lived in Naples. I thought they try to keep that on the low profile.
He's kind of mentioned it. Naples police has arrested a man they say is responsible for
I'm going
a
to
string,
Naples this weekend,
and it looks like a
and
love
I'm
string.
going to track me down Tucker Carlson, that son of a bitch.
Vehicles. I'll do a Tucker. I think he's kind of he gets a little too hyperbolic up front to get to his point.
I know
But,
Sean Hannity has a summer home down in Nepal as well.
Okay. Anyway, and so does Judge Judy.
Sergeant
Naples-
Slaughter.
Naples police has
Bob
arrested
Seger.
a man. All right, we get it. Naples police has arrested a man Friday. Yeah, all we have out here is what's his name from Face Off and National Treasure, Nicolas Cage, and what's his rapper with the big clock around his neck?
Easy E.
No, not Easy E.
Sorry, Public Enemy.
Yeah, he's on Public Enemy.
Yeah, boy.
There you go.
Oh, what the fuck is his dick?
I forget his name now. I don't
What
know.
was
I'm
that
horrible
MTV
with
show
it
he
today.
did?
And I apologize for anybody out there, but I'm just shot today. So anyway, let's get back to the story at hand.
Got shot.
Let me pick this train and put it back on the track.
If your train falls off the track, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Back on the scene. Go ahead.
Naples police has arrested a man they said is responsible for a string of vehicle and home burglaries
Gurglebers.
in Naples on Friday. The Naples police has worked with the Collier County Sheriff's Office to identify the burglary suspect as one Eric Donald Ramirez, 32-year-old man. Interesting middle name. It's very similar to your host's first name.
Mm-hmm.
Naples police said Ramirez has broken into several unlocked vehicles. Number one, why the fuck do you leave your car unlocked? But you must be too trusting down there in Naples. And
Now,
three
Naples
ele-
was the place that came under fire during the early Obama administration when they actually wanted to pass a city ordinance that said no affordable housing or duplexes, and they really wished they could outlaw the Ford Focus.
The Festiva, the Fiesta, I could definitely understand. I've been driving one of those recently. They hurt my leg.
What are you
Anyway.
driving a Festiva for?
Oh, it's a work vehicle. Vehicles and 3 lanais along Curlew Avenue in Naples early morning hours on Friday. Seagate community residents also reported their homes were burglarized on Sunday morning. They told police that the suspect opened their garage using the garage door opener from their unlocked vehicles and said items were stolen from purses and said they said the thief was using the victim's scooters. Scooter, is it a VIP future champion scooter or is it a Rascal? I'm thinking Rascal in Naples. Naples police had arrested Ramirez after identifying him as a suspect in the burglaries. They say he confessed to all of them.
Bastard.
Ramirez now faces 8 counts of burglary of a vehicle, 4 counts of residential burglary, If I could say burglary one more time.
Burglary.
And 1 count of grand theft auto, theft of credit cards, and 9 additional other theft charges.
A little pick me up for you.
Dodge swing up. Flavor Flav, that's the name.
Flavor Flav. Then I just realized that modern day artists don't put enough emphasis on stereo effect. Is the stereo effect coming through on your end?
Not real well, no.
Dodge Swinger, 1970.
For those of you listening along at home through the download version, you're welcome on the
Because this
stereo
is about
effect.
to go mute.
Go ahead and continue with your news.
Maybe this last Saturday night, Sunday morning, will be the last time you ever have to set your clock again.
That would be nice. Florida actually tried this, and we
Hold
passed
on.
it.
Yep. So Senate passes a bill making daylight saving time permanent. Coming out of our dysfunctional government in Washington, D.C., you soon may be able to skip the semi-annual switching of your clocks for daylight savings time.
Not to be confused with the Digital 410 official removing of the clock and replacing with the Christmas Story lithograph, which is only happens
Correct. You're
here
still stuck
in the
doing that
holiday
once a year.
season.
The Senate Tuesday unanimously passed the Sunshine Protection Act. Sound familiar?
Mm-hmm.
Which would permanently extend daylight savings time, DST, from 8 months of the year to a full 12 months. This bill was first introduced in January 2021 and reintroduced by one Senator Marco Rubio
Yeah,
of
it was.
Florida and 7 other bipartisan members of Congress. Rubio on Tuesday targeted the ritual changing of the clock back and forth and disruption that comes with it. And one has to ask themselves for a while, why do we keep doing it? Why are we doing this? So the bill makes daylight saving time permanent across the U.S. in 2023. Representative, it would make it happen. Vern Buchanan, Republican of Florida, who introduced the House bill last year, Jesus, it's taking this long, told the USA Today
Putin's fault.
on Tuesday that he would send a letter to the House Speaker Nancy Pelosi of California asking for immediate consideration of the bill. There are enormous health and economic benefits to making daylight savings time permanent, according to Buchanan. Florida and 17 other states have already moved to adopt DST as a year-round, but cannot do so without congressional approval. Whatever happened to...
Because I have the answer for this. I discovered this inadvertently during an episode of the What's the Scope Up podcast about a year ago. Daylight saving time has nothing to do with farming, believe it or not. That was the lie we were told growing up.
war effort, isn't it?
Daylight savings time was originally started by a gentleman who came up with the idea during World War I. And after World War I, they got rid of it. World War II rolled around. Same guy, proposed to, I was going to say Eisenhower. That's a little bit after the war, Don. Roosevelt, that, hey, I propose that we reinitiate the daylight savings time because we have these blackout policies at night, especially on the West Coast and East Coast, due to submarine scares. And so by changing it, that gives us an hour of daylight for help war production. And by the way, if you sign this into the bill, can I get the pen that you use to sign the bill? Much like they gave me the pen from World War I. Roosevelt said, sure, I'll sign it in the bill too. Fuck you, I'm keeping the pen. Guy never got the pen. For whatever reason, after World War II, we did not revert back. So basically, since 1945, we've been dealing with this wartime production bill that is known as daylight savings time. Has
Well,
nothing to do
the
with farming.
move is to end the time change. It follows public opinion. So a poll from the Associated Press NORC Center for Public Affairs Research conducted in October 2021 found that only 25% of Americans said they prefer to switch back and forth between standard and daylight times. However, 43% of surveyed respondents said they wanted to see the standard time, not daylight saving times, but the hours observed roughly from most of November to March and as the entire time of the year. Meanwhile, 32%, which is a less number, about 11% less, said that they prefer the daylight savings time, which would be switched. Now, I don't know. I really don't care either way.
I do.
You want daylight savings time. I get it.
No, I want that extra hour of fishing time.
Yep. Until he
And
moves on to the next topic.
Well, it just sucks to, like when I worked at the radio station, I would get up to go work at computers in the dark, and by the time the show ended at 6:30, I was driving home, it was dark. So a lot of people, who work as long days, it's like in the wintertime, you don't see any daylight. Remember this song?
So, yep.
I'm gonna be the man who goes along with you.
Isn't this Black Train Jack?
Nope. Think again.
Pennywise?
Whatever that means. Close. One more guess. Think. And fast forward to the...
Oh. Fat Mike.
No.
offense.
Ah, boom. Down by Law is the correct answer.
Oh, down by law. Yeah,
I've
well,
actually...
yes, I pride myself on listening to punk rock, but I clearly fucked that one up.
I reloaded Winamp, and now I'm pulling all my music that I've had on here since the late 1990s, and I have a ton of shit on here.
Well, check this out. So rent is going through the roof out here in Vegas.
Mm-hmm. So is gas.
And raising, well, fortunately, I hear that the price of oil is now under 100. It's down like $96 a barrel now.
Ooh.
So hopefully, it's interesting. As soon as it went up, the gas stations went up right away, but now it's going to take a little while to come back down. Rising rent forcing some Las Vegas area residents to weekly motels, according to commissioners.
Wow.
Las Vegas rents are rotten. It is bad, dude. I am so much better off in a house than anybody trying to rent a one-bedroom apartment right now. Thank you, California.
Mm-hmm.
Rents are on the rise. Well, thank you, because if I go to move out of the state, I'm going to make some freaking money on my house so far. About double. Rents are on the rise, and the increased cost of housing has led more people on the verge of homelessness in the Las Vegas Valley. During the Clark County Commissioner meeting on Tuesday, Commissioner William McCurdy II took a moment to share some things he said he's learned from residents in his district, District D. McCurdy said he's received around 280 emails regarding rent increases in the valley. And some of those emails, the average rent increase is $463 a month. That's a huge increase, dude.
Yeah, it is.
One renter told McCurdy that he has not missed a payment on his apartment since 2009, but recently saw his rent go up by $500 a month. Another said they expect their rent to double by April the 1st.
People in Cape
McCurdy's-
Coral have been dealing with that ever since they started putting this water plant in.
Yep, McCurdy said one renter spent $2,000 in application fees alone as they search for a new place to live. We literally have a problem right now, thank you, California, with a lot of more. There are more renters out there than there is houses and apartments. And you think, if you drive around here, you think, how is that possible? There's a fucking apartment buildings gone up everywhere. This presents a, according to McCurdy, this presents a public safety crisis. If families don't have food, they don't have housing. The Marshallo's hierarchy of needs says we need shelter and food to survive.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't have those basic things, we're going to find ourselves in a situation that we will not be able to turn back the clock on. Many of these renters are seniors, families with small kids, and people juggling multiple part-time jobs, according to McCurdy. McCurdy said part of the problem is the case he's discussed is that many of the landlords are keeping their renters on a month-to-month lease,
So they can kick them to
which
boot.
allows them to increase the cost of rent each month per state law. Landlords can't raise the rent during your lease. They must provide a 60-day notice if they plan on increasing your rent once the lease is up. A 60-day notice is also required for month-to-month renters. And week-to-week tenants must get at least a 30-day written notice. This county has spent $200 million to keep residents housed, according to McCurdy, and this is just not a sustainable method. Clark County residents some who have grown up in our community are being forced to move into weeklies or motels. I continue to read each and every email that comes in and encourage those to continue to share your story. So I think they're going to really try to push some rent control. at some point in time.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane.
You're an Opie.
And one more story.
Before you do that, you're an Opie Anthony fan, right? From way back.
Yeah.
I had a thought the other day. Whatever happened to Stephen Lynch? Let's see, Stephen Lynch, Don. Who is that? Sounds familiar. Well, he was a comedian who sung funny songs that would not fly in days like today.
Didn't he have the song about the well-endowed chick in Dublin, a bar in Dublin, Ohio?
She could.
Tits McGee.
No, well, here's one that will play.
My final song of the evening is about probably the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to me in my life, and maybe some of you can relate to this. I came down to the breakfast table, felt like I could cry. Tried so hard but wasn't able to look you in the eye. For I am feeling so much shame, yes I have brought disgrace. Can tell I've soiled my good name by the look upon your face. Well, it seems last night you caught me spanking it, no use denying it, I was really cranking it. Well, dry your eyes, don't be so sad, if you could just forgive me and talk to me, Dad. I didn't hear you enter, no, I didn't hear the door, with my hand upon my member and my pants upon the floor. And burnt into your brain is an image you despise, like blood and guts from starving kids, Stevie Wonder's eyes. Well, it seemed last night you called me spanking, no use denying it, I was really cranking it. Well, dry your eyes, don't be so sad, but I wouldn't use those tissues, they've already been had. The look upon your face made my swollen gland diminish. So I said, could you close the door? I really want to finish. But Daddy, I'm ashamed and I completely understand if you never want to hug again or even shake my hand. Well, it seemed last night you called me spanking it, no use denying it, I was really cranking it. Well, dry your eyes, don't be so sad, just because it was your bed, it's not that bad. Talk to me, Dad.
Well, it appears Facebook did not censor this. That's good.
When I was only 17, you told me it was dirty, so it must be really creepy when your kid is pushing 30. Well, it seemed last night
There's the payoff.
There's the payoff. I have a whole bunch of Stephen Lynch on here, but I was thinking, I was like, whatever happened to Stephen Lynch?
Actually, exactly. And then, Tits McGee is by Zane Lamprey.
Zane Lamprey. I know that name.
Yes.
Oh,
So I
Zane
got one-
Lamprey. That's the guy who did 3 Sheets, the TV show.
Mm-hmm.
He had the Travel Channel show where he'd go around getting drunk.
Oh yeah, it's a good song.
Yep. Your final
There's
story.
There's an organist. Let's back up.
Is an
Seattle.
organist different than a pianist?
Well, in this case, it is. This coming in from the AP, but it all started with an unsolicited email that landed in the inbox of the game presentation executives for the newest NHL team, the Seattle Kraken. The name Rod Masters doesn't immediately resonate with Johnny Greco or Lamont Bruffaut,
Rod Masters sounds like a porn star.
who was in charge of overseeing entertainment and game production for the expansion franchise. But they would soon make the connection. And Don, you should be able to too. I remember Lamont looking at me and saying, he's like, the dude from Slapshot just sent me an email. According to Greco. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What dude? That dude would be Masters. And if the name still doesn't ring a bell, that's fine. Just know that he's maybe the most famous organist to ever appear on the big screen in a sports movie.
Mm-hmm.
And now, nearly a half century later, after making his lasting impression in Slapshot, Masters is the first organist for the Kraken.
Nice.
His name never appeared in the credits of the iconic 1977 movie starring one Paul Newman.
I don't know if that holds up. I know that's a horrible thing to say, but I watched it a while back, and I don't know.
But anybody who's seen the movie knows Masters is the organist plunked in the head by a wayward Puck and abruptly asked by Newman's character, Reggie Dunlop, to never play Lady of Spain ever again. More than 40 years later, he's now part of a fraternity of organists around the NHL. A 68-year-old is now living out his dream, even for someone who has worked as a professional musician all over North America. According to him, he said, "I love playing for people, and they seem to be loving it. It's just the best job I could ever have dreamed of that I would have." According to Masters, "I had retired, and then I thought, just for the heck of it, I'll email them. I would think of this as a great job for any musician. So organ or keyboard music is synonymous with hockey. It's even part of the soundtrack of the Beijing Olympics during stoppage of play. Of the 32 NHL teams, only 6, Philadelphia, Carolina, Dallas, Arizona, Vegas, and Edmonton, don't have an original organist. Don't have an organist playing music during games. Vegas, the last team to join the league before Seattle, didn't seem to have an organist the first year, but tried in year 2. With all the other entertainment that went on into the game production, the organ sound just did not quite fit. And I would have to admit, we kind of go above and beyond out here.
Yeah, everything's new, playing, all the music that everybody's familiar with.
Well, it's more than that because the Kraken's got it. It's just because it's Vegas. It's going to be the entertainment capital of the world. We're going to take and they have. If you ever make it out here and we get to a game, you'll see what I'm talking about. The pregame is insane. It's insane. It's awesome. But anyway, good for him. The guy who got clunked in the head is now for the Kraken, which I swear they picked that name just so they could say release the Kraken.
For you young cats who download everything on iTunes or don't even download now, you just listen. I'm from a generation where we used to, borrow music, if you would. Guess how many songs I have on this computer?
3,000.
6,327. Going all the way back to the late 90s. But this episode of the What's in Your Head podcast is brought to you by our friends at Computers. Computers has been providing IT solutions for all of Southwest Florida and the rest of the world since 2004. If you have computer issues and need some help, give them a call at 239-283-1120. Even if you don't live in Southwest Florida, they can help you by remoting into your computer. Give them a call at 239-283-1120. And as always, if you haven't done so, please head over to whatsinyourhead.com or d-410.com. Click on that orange Patreon link, sign up. It's $1 a month. It goes a long way to help things here at the Digital 410 Network. And also, please head over to YouTube and watch some of our better videos. We got that 1,000-point marker. We just got to get some hours in on our view time. But that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the What's in Your Head podcast. As you can hear, Bailey says it's time to go. She's usually sitting in my lap by now. And so on the behalf of myself and Gordon, we want to thank everybody for your continued support, and we will talk to you next week.
This has been a Digital 410 production.